Yeah, we are back again for Seasons Football, baby, with Nate and Corey, two men who never dock but love docking.
All right, here we go. We're in, baby. Here we go. Four Seasons Football. We're back. It's 2 episodes. This is episode 2. I'm Corey. That's Nate. And you said it would never happen. Here we are, Nate. Episode 2. You said it would never happen. Here we are.
It's a miracle.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But hi, how's it going, man? How's your week? How you doing?
I'm good. It was a great first week of football, right?
Wasn't it a great first week of football? All right. So here, for those of you, look, we're going to do a little catch up. We're going to do a little fun, weird shit because we don't talk about it. But before we do, just so you know what this is, because, we're 2 episodes in, so nobody knows what it is. And none of these podcasts are good till fucking 10. So thanks for fucking bearing with us as we're no good for a lot of episodes. Here we go. What you are listening to is Four Seasons Football. We are a football podcast that goes all year round. But the thing that separates us from all your other bullshit is that we're actually just going to lean in to fucking the UFL when it's on. We're going to fucking, we're not big college guys. So if that's your thing, fucking doors over there. But we do UFL. We'll do some NFL stuff at the back end. But, when NFL is going, of course, we'll cover that. But basically, we just get football year round. And if you want to, the weekly episodes will come out around Friday. You can go over to fourseasonsfootball.life. That's the website. You can also follow us on Twitter at Fours Football. That's FOURS Football. I'm not spelling one word on Twitter. We kind of post there, interact, and you can also follow us over on the Reddit subreddit, which is UFL Meme Wars with an S, because some asshole took Meme War and then decided to not use it at all, which is kind of a dick move. Also, before we start anything, I want to do this just right on the front end. I want to give a shout out to this guy named Ubi, I think it's pronounced. It's his name is Hooder Duber is the screen name, but it's UBEY, right? And this dude is a guy who, I don't know why, Nate will vouch for this. I'm kind of a dickhead, right? You know that.
Yeah, it happens.
It does happen, and it's fine. And this is a guy that I don't know why, but I was just bored, and I was on the fucking podcast thing on Twitter, and I just started razzing the dude. And the dude started razzing back and getting madder and madder, which I thought was funnier, right? And then he just hit this precipice point of all right, whatever, dude. I get that you're really bored. And I'm like, yeah, I am really bored. And then that dude immediately followed our podcast. So hopefully he hears this and he hears this shout out. I'm going to tag him in it, but it's just fucking awesome. I totally I don't often think highly of Boston Red Sox fans, but here we are, I thought it was really cool. It's so rare that these little babies on the internet can take something and dish it out and still just be fucking cool,
Still somehow better than Philly.
Everybody's better. That's not somehow. That's just everybody's better than Philly. All right. So all of that out of the way. We have a bunch of cool stuff for you. We're going to be going over betting lines. We're going to be going over games. We're going to be going over all that shit. But first and foremost, what a fucking week, right? Week 1. What a week.
It was great. It was all of our introduction to the UFL, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. And it's just, what a time to be alive where we can actually start a fucking podcast on spring football. Did you ever, as a kid, when you're fucking, I want to do a podcast like everybody, did you think it would be spring football? Did you think that was going to be your fucking calling?
Well, when we were kids, podcasts didn't exist.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, dude. You're ruining it. You're fucking ruining it. Look at that. 2 episodes in and it's already over. You've already ruined the podcast.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a fucking bitch, this guy. All right. My point is this. Nobody thought they'd be here for fucking week 1, week 2, still here, it's fucking crazy. And it's cool, I don't know. It's great. So what did you think?
The combined leagues, the football was really good. We had some fantastic games and some not so great games, but it was fun.
I was going to say, so what, if you had to okay, so I want to get more into your perspective on some of this shit. Cause to me, as somebody that followed the XFL a bunch, right? This weekend felt like business as usual. This is what spring, it felt bigger and grander, and we'll go over the numbers and all that, but it felt like the XFL. I know it's the UFL now, whatever, but and I didn't really follow the USFL, so maybe it feels like that too. But it's really awesome because it's everything that every time the XFL has come back, the last 2 times, obviously I'm not counting the first time when it was wrestling based, right? Which I also love, but that's a different thing, right? But before COVID and last year, every time the XFL launches, this is how it feels, and it's just fucking cool. You know, it's just fucking cool.
I mean, for me, it's a little bit different because prior to this year, it was kind of like just watching two random colleges I've never heard about playing a football game where I don't care who wins. I don't know any of the players that are in this. But this year, having taken some time to actually look into the teams, get a little invested, learn about some of those players, some of their stories, I was actually invested. And like I've looked at power rankings and decided where I think these teams should shake out. I wanted to see how the two conferences stacked up. There was a lot more on the line for me watching this opening weekend as opposed to years past when I've tried.
Right. And I think that's huge. Like, I really do. I think that's something that needs to be like addressed more and more about how like your skin. So for me, these assholes were like always, everybody was always in it for me. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where I was so vested in it almost immediately because the amount of shit talk that the Battlehawks fans talk, and knowing that was the region that we belonged to, you know, when I was still in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
That just meant the world to me because I'm like, wait, so the team I'm in has won. They were pretty good, and especially last year because like we had McCarron who was awesome, you know, like, and then on top of that, like, and the fans are talking the most shit on Reddit ever. Like, that's fucking, yes, sign me up for that. That is fucking amazing, right?
Yep. Well, and if you're invested in one team, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is with, multiple leagues in prior years, like all that fandom and investment is spread out. I think for the casual fan, having things come together into a single league moving forward will be a lot easier to get its hooks in people.
Well, I think so too. And I think also, like, I really like the fact that I didn't realize, last week when we talked, I like the fact that they're keeping the XFL and the USFL as the conference names. I think that's really fun. I think that's a really fun, like, just nod,
Well, and already pitting the post fans of each league against each other. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea.
Okay. So, I mean, I agree with that. I think it's awesome. And it was a really good week of football. So why don't we just run down it real quick? We'll run down week 1 and talk about that and our takeaways and all that, right? Because this episode here is going to be called USFL greater than XFL ? Because if you look at it, all the USFL teams won against all the XFL teams, right?
Except for the not really USFL, but kind of USFL Roughnecks. No,
they lost. The Showboats beat them. But that game is USFL versus USFL, basically.
Right.
But the big thing, and this is where, we were talking about this last week where, I'm going to have to watch it to really know. And it's, we didn't know what was going to happen, but it looks like the USFL was much more comparable to the XFL than I ever gave it credit for. I don't know why. Maybe because I was just a big fan of the XFL, and the moment the USFL rolled around, I tuned out personally. But I always thought that the USFL was weaker than the XFL, but I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, well, and like the random stories I'd hear as I did research, people kind of lean toward the XFL being the stronger league. I mean, the Stallions would be the one kind of exception. Everybody kind of talked about the Stallions being fantastic. But as far as league versus league, most of what I heard or read leaned toward the XFL being stronger.
Well, I was muted. Jesus Christ, I'm bad at this. I'm real bad at podcasting. Yeah, and last week when we were here, the thing I was telling you is the thing that I needed to see personally. The thing that I needed to happen was I needed the Stallions to beat the fuck out of the Renegades, and that happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I needed. Like, to me, if you're going to make that argument, because the Stallions were the cream of the crop fucking of the USFL. I mean, they've lost like 3 games in their entire fucking existence.
Right.
And that coach is known as a like fucking quarterback whisperer. And the thing that I forgot, and there's a lot of stuff, and we'll get into like some rule corrections that we wanted to talk about too. But like the thing I forgot that all the teams had the option to keep like 3 or 4 players, and then they redrafted all their teams. So everything I knew doesn't matter. It's almost a hindrance, honestly.
Right. Like there was so much of a shuffle with personnel with the 2 leagues combining.
Right. Like they were allowed to they were allowed to franchise a few players here and there, but otherwise they're all new teams, Right.
And the coaches or coaching staffs are really the only continuity between.
Right. And the thing that
in some cases.
the thing that was really interesting to me was watching the Stallions just beat the piss out of the Renegades again, because even though the Renegades were the champions last year, I honestly, I don't even think they were in the top 4 teams last year. They got hot at the right time, and they beat the DC Defenders in a game that was like fucking should have been them, and the DC Defenders just didn't show up, which was weird, right? And so in order to go forward and say that this is going to be a good matchup, and I love, to me, that was the biggest thing. I mean, there are 2 biggest things that happened to me in those games. One, well, the fucking kick by that fucking guy that beat us. Fine, we'll talk about that, which is awesome. I mean, like, I would have rather had a victory, but it's fine. But it was so important to me, and I think to other people that were following it, that the Stallions beat the fucking brakes off the Renegades, because the Renegades are not that good. They just aren't. Like,
they were sus.
What?
They were sus.
Right.
If they won that game, all credibility in my mind to the USFL was gone.
Correct. But even to me, and that's why I was saying last week, to me, even if it was a close game, you know, like, honestly, 27-14 is still a little bit closer than I would have liked to see. Like, I wanted the Stallions, because the Stallions are supposed to be this dynasty team that's like unbeatable, and Birmingham is like wild. I mean, like, I don't know if you've ever been to Birmingham, Alabama, but those people go in on fucking high school football. They were going to go in on this hard, you know?
Yeah. And I think the fact that it was close through the first half is just, this is the first game of the season. Both offenses were really slow, made mistakes. But as soon as Birmingham got the ball moving in the second half,
it did feel like Birmingham took a second to like warm up. But once they got, like, what happened to me is, like, it felt like everybody, and this was actually across the board. The only team I think that looked pretty good out of the gate was San Antonio. But like, the Birmingham Stallions looked like they were kind of staggering a little bit. And then fucking just out of nowhere, it just started clicking, and they just started fucking going, you know?
Yep. And once Marable started getting going and the running game was clicking.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah. So then we'll move on down to the Battlehawks and the Michigan Panthers. I fucking hated this game. I hated everything about this game.
I mean, I hate it after the fact,
not just because I'm a Battlehawks fan, but because fuck Panther. You know what? I'm declaring it now. I'm declaring it now for anybody like that's listening. This was a big thing in the Battlehawks, all over the Reddit and everything. Is we don't know who our new like team we hate is. I propose it's the fucking Panthers. Their fans poop standing up, and we don't fucking need them. Fuck them. But that being said, that kick was awesome. I wish for people that don't know, what was that guy's name? What's his last name?
Bates.
Yeah, Bates hit a 64-yard kick. And I kind of want, what I want from that kid now going forward is I want him to break the record. Because that dude hit a 64-yard kick twice, and it was plenty of boot both fucking times.
Right? So it's, the rest of the season is, can the Panthers get in a position where they need to kick one from 67?
Dude, because could you imagine how big that would be for the UFL if the longest field goal ever hit wasn't even the NFL?
Right. Like, I mean, that's SportsCenter #1 in top plays. That's huge national coverage for sure.
Was it #1? Yeah, probably. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh, I don't know that it was this week, but if he made it 60,
yeah, 100%. Yep. And that game was fun. I mean, what's really cool is you and I were texting over that game. I was glad that you were watching because you selected the Battlehawks with me, which is awesome. Cause the law. Also, shout out to the Panthers. Very funny how they went all over our Reddit and started saying "paw is the law." Like, that's fucking a cocksucker move, and I appreciate it. Very fun.
Yeah, well done.
But McCarron down the road was awesome. I mean, McCarron is such a good quarterback, and the team looked good. That Panthers fucking running back is insane though. Hills or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Wes Hills.
Holy fuck, that
dude. It was pretty quiet first half, but second half, Wes Hills got going. EJ Perry wasn't great through the pass, but he was running too. But it came down to the wire with Battlehawks coming down the field with 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
They complete that 30-yard 4th and 10
and they
play
fucking they fucking did. Like, they had to absolutely make an insane out of here nowhere play, and they fucking did.
Yeah. Incredible catch on 4th and 10. Managed to score. And then the defense showed up. I mean, they stopped Panthers.
They made them kick a 64-yard field goal. That shouldn't have lost the game, goddammit.
But fucking amazing. He makes that kick back-to-back after being iced.
Unreal.
It was just a great finish.
And it was, and that was, I don't know if you want to do you want to do ratings and attendance after everything, or do you want to go like day by day? because I got a lot of cool, like, weird insider stuff about this. We'll do it after all the games, though, but we'll talk about it. So, because I feel like we're not going to spend a lot of time on the Brahmas and Defender game, because who cares? But the Memphis Showboats and the Houston Roughneck game was pretty fun. That one was it the Defenders game that had the fake field goal, or was it the Showboats game?
That was Brahmas. Brahmas had all of the trick plays.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch, and Wade Phillips did whatever, but that they had a fake field goal. Or it was a fake punt that they scored on, and the pass was completed to their fucking center.
Yeah, so what? Defenders lost 12-27 to the Brahmas.
Mm-hmm.
The Brahmas, before that, I mean, the offense was basically unstoppable, but they were running all kinds of trick plays. There was a double reverse, a halfback pass.
It looked like an absolute carnival sideshow. And actually, Memphis Roughnecks was the one I didn't want to talk about. Actually, that was I got them reversed in my mind, because the Memphis Showboat Roughneck game was just like, it was just a boring slog, like middle of the road game. Like it wasn't bad and it was competitive, but it was just real boring. It was like both defenses not really, like, it was bend but don't break, and then no offense could break it the entire fucking time. And that Roughnecks team looks terrible. I think that they're going to be the worst team in the league. They have so much work to do.
The defense wasn't terrible. They made a lot of plays. They made some stops. Reuben Foster had a great game, but the offense was just garbage.
Dog
shit.
shit.
Line can't block anybody for running or passing.
It was how the fucking Defenders also, their defense looked like dog shit, and like that's what they were known for. And that's why I said, like, for me, it's like I got to get that out of my head, that anything that happened last year matters. You know what I mean? Because they're different teams now. They're drafted different. Like fucking the Roughnecks are the fucking Gamblers. Fucking Wade Phillips is on the Brahmas. You know, like fucking whatever.
For the Defenders defense, I'm still holding out. Well, I mean, it's kind of two halves. The front seven is phenomenal. The defensive backs are garbage.
I will say this about the Brahmas too, like all those trick plays and stuff. And this is to me one of the allures of like the XFL, the UFL, or the USFL. Like, you know, UFL obviously now, but like you're gonna get some trick formation. Like we might see some wishbone, we might see some fucking pistol. We see all this shit, you know, wildcat. We'll see all this shit that you're not gonna see in the NFL, but it's gonna be executed at a higher level than college.
Heck yeah. And I mean, there's still going to be plenty of opportunities for those bizarre fluke fuck-ups while they're doing these trick plays, which also leads to great defensive scores.
Fuck yeah.
All of which is entertaining.
Yeah. And then we got some, we wanted to hit the news first. So that's just kind of the scores. Actually, here, let me give you the stats. So this is, I actually did a bunch of research this weekend, which is very, very, Nate can vouch. It's pretty good for me. I don't usually do this.
Never gonna happen again.
It might, yeah. Look, don't expect this every week, but I just was curious, so I did some deep digging. And I will say this, actually, like when I set out with, like, I was trying to get some information. It is not easy to find any information on the UFL.
No, when I started looking for player stats,
yeah, like box scores, like find me fucking box scores anywhere. You know what I mean? It's just like nowhere. It's like even on the website, they just have like they've got league leaders now, but that didn't happen till like Wednesday. But okay, so check this out. This is a cool thing, right? So the UFL 2024 TV rating average viewer, and this is according to Nielsen, right? The Renegades versus Stallions got 1.18 million views on Fox. That's fucking insane, dude.
Not bad.
But here's where it gets even cooler. And this is why, you know, like St. Louis, like you're going to see St. Louis when they go back home because they have always historically been one of the like just absolute Cadillacs when it comes to attendance in the XFL, right? Like the team
what is it, like
is so supportive. Yeah, I mean, they sold out. They took off the seating restrictions and they sold out that stadium full to capacity twice last year. Nice. And that's the stadium I think the Rams used to play in when they were in St. Louis. It's a real stadium, right?
Yeah.
So all right, so here we go. So we got 1.8 million for the Stallions Renegades, right? The Battlehawks versus Michigan was 1.349 million rating. So not only did they crack over 1 million on the first one, they cracked over 1 million and cracked that number in the evening, which means Saturday and like Saturday was going to be a litmus test because you're starting with the champion versus champion. So that'll tell you if there's a buzz going on, if people wanted to tune in, right? And then the evening one told you if people were retaining the view. And it's really cool because that retention is what will really grow the league. But now here, this is the ones that blows my fucking mind, dude. And the Saturday numbers are awesome and they're over. I think the best games last year in the XFL were right around 1 million for watches, you know, like towards the end when and I'm saying like only like 2 or 3 got that. So for the first 2 opening games to get over 1 million viewership is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But so check this out, okay? DC versus Brahmas, right? 960,000 ratings. That is fucking stunning, dude. Like on Easter Sunday with everything else going on, that is fucking insane. Like that number, even though it's not a million, that number means so much more than any of the other numbers. I mean, you're talking you were 40,000 away from cracking a million on Easter fucking Sunday. That is fucking nuts. And they were expecting closer to like 400,000. So they beat their expectations by 500,000 on that.
Pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, but here's where it gets, here's the other one too, right? Is that then Memphis and Houston, right? The night game, right? 730,000 viewership. So like
wow.
They cracked over 500,000 both games on Easter.
Nice.
And that was fucking crazy. And just to put it into perspective, right? Week 7 last year in the XFL, which is where this would be because the XFL started in February. See, I'm telling you, I went down and did some numbers on this shit, right? So week seven in the XFL last year, right? The game in the afternoon got 502,000 and the evening game got 365,000, both of those being on ESPN, but more importantly, none of those being on Easter.
More than double, and it was Easter?
More than double, and it was fucking Easter. That's fucking crazy.
It's a good sign. Hopefully we got some people hooked.
And then here is the, so last year, the XFL opened in February, so it's opening weekend, right? Was 1.54 million on ABC, right?
It's a pretty good number.
The UFL doubleheader average, like so all day on Saturday averaged 864,000.
Yeah.
That's the average for all day, rather than the XFL, which they had one game that opened high and then the next game was like 300,000. It was bad. But here's where it gets even better, right? So these are the attendance numbers. Are you ready for this shit?
Yeah.
Arlington, okay, which is the first one, right? Arlington had 14,153 people in attendance.
Wow.
That is the 4th highest attended game since 2020. That is higher attendance than they had any game last year in the XFL.
For Arlington specifically, or across the board?
In Arlington's history, that is their 4th highest attended game in their franchise history.
Nice.
And again, it's the higher than they had any game last year, right? And then at the Michigan had 9,444 people, which is not, it's not bad, but that one looked really empty because Ford Field's a big fucking stadium. And also, fuck those guys for not putting up like a UFL tarp on the back. Like, fucking put the tarp where the people aren't. You could have done something to make that look like it wasn't just a vacant chasm, you know?
Well, honestly, given how many times I watched the replay of that kick,
right
everywhere,
right.
Just
they've got like
empty stadium.
Yes,
right,
they have this legendary moment for their sports, and everybody's like, "Wow, that's cool," and nobody saw it. Which in reality, I mean, like 9,444 is not. That's not a bad number. That's almost 10 grand. Like that's not bad.
I mean, I'm sure they want more, but it's Michigan money to do.
Well, the other thing too is with Michigan, it's a little trickier because they don't really have a lot to like go on as far as like last year, because they weren't in Ford Field last year or something like that, or like there's something weird with their numbers because they're like located different or something. I forget what it was, but I saw something where like there were 2 asterisks on them, right? And the asterisks were on that and on Houston because like you don't really know because they're different. But all right, so the other one is San Antonio, right? They had 13,164 in attendance on Easter fucking Sunday against MLB's opening. Think about that. That was the other thing. It was opening day for MLB on Easter. That's the other thing they were against to get these numbers.
So not only do they hate their family, but they also hate baseball.
Yes, those are my kind of people. I hope they're listening to the podcast. Those are my kind of people. And then Houston had 9,157 in attendance in the evening on Easter. And that's on par with what Houston was getting. But they don't look like a good team, so we'll see. And then what'll really be interesting and what I'm curious for going forward is this next week, like this week, the thing that I'm watching for is I'm curious to see what the attendance is in Birmingham, DC, and St. Louis, because St. Louis and DC were the powerhouse of attendance in the XFL last year. And Birmingham is usually 3-to-1 attendance of any other USFL team, I found out, because Alabama has nothing. You know, this is as close to professional sports as they get, you know?
Well, they've got Alabama.
Well, yeah, but that's college. I'm saying this is the closest to pro sports. I mean, yeah. And then, all right, so that's That's what I want to do. And then I just have one other like quick news bit, and then we can get into any news that you want, which, so this is really interesting. All right. Are you ready for some like cool little weird goss that I found?
Yeah, definitely.
So while looking into all this data, so first off, how impressed are you at that kind of research? I don't do that. I'm a slack ass. That's pretty good research, right?
Can we all just pause and give a little clap?
Thank you. Thank you. You know, hold on. I have a clap on my soundboard. I accidentally hit the sad trombone. But no, yeah. So like what I'm saying is like that. Like first off, great research. Thank you, Corey. Good job, Corey. All right. Anyways, we're back. So while I was doing this research, it was very, very hard. And I'm not trying to do that to get more accolades. What I'm saying is, and you know this, but looking into UFL stuff is tough, right?
Yeah, there's just like every sports outlet that I could choose from in between for the NFL to find any little stat or information I need. I kept going to another one and not finding anything. Luckily, I finally found what Fox Sports.
Yeah, Fox Sports. Fox Sports has it, and then UFL's official site updated their leaderboard, so like the rushing and passing leaders and stuff are on there, you know, but like not box score stuff.
And the site is pretty bad.
The site is terrible. The site is so fucking bad.
To see the quarterback's name on that list, I had to drop to like 50% zoom or full screen the one. Yeah. Not great.
So anyways, here we go. So when I was looking into it, what I was looking into is I was looking into Birmingham, right? Because I wanted to see what their attendance looked like last year, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't able to find definitive numbers on that. Like I found a couple different sites, but they said very contrasting stuff. So I didn't include it in my segment of like dossier facts, right?
Yeah.
What I did find though is apparently the parent company is called USFL Enterprises, right? And they have recently trademarked the Canton Bulldogs and the Nashville Tuners.
All right.
So I think that those are going to be two of the expand, because their goal is to try to get to 16 next year. They've made that known, right?
Oh, I think it's 12 next year, 16 the following.
Okay, well, 16 is what they were saying they wanted to get to. Maybe I missed the time frame. 16 is what I read. But so I am 100% positive that two of the new expansion teams coming in will be the Canton Bulldogs and the Nashville Tuners, because they went out and got the fucking copyrights and trademarks for those. And the Canton one, Canton one is really interesting though, because the Canton one is the Canton/Ohio Bulldogs. So might not be in Canton, but the Nashville Tuners are, I guess, like a thing, and I looked into it, but like, so it was just something weird that I found while I was trying to find the attendance of fucking Birmingham. So there's a sweet, like, I don't know how many of those we'll get. I'm not a fucking investigative journalist, but I came across that, and I was like, holy shit, this has to go into the podcast.
Well, if somebody out there wants to get creative with stealing some logos or merchandise, I mean, go for it.
Or a .com. I mean, I'm sure they did that first, but whatever. All right, what was did you have any UFL news? Oh, also that guy being cut, right? Talked about that.
Yeah, so top news story is John DeLance being released by the Defenders. And I mean, can you blame him?
No, you should always swallow. Nobody likes people that spit.
Spit on a guy, get called for the flagrant personal foul, 15 yards. Also, the play's reviewed and he's offside, which negates the touchdown, which like that would have been, they had the potential for a 2-pointer to tie the game right there. He single-handedly just threw the week away.
Yeah, I mean, he took that, and like that was like they had cut him. Like I feel like they cut him before the game was over. You know what I mean? They just waited to announce it.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the coach's eyes, it's like, you're never seeing the field again.
Ever again, motherfucker. You are out skied, right?
Yeah. So that's our top story, and the only real news.
Well, except for the attendance, the only real news, motherfucker. I just did 20 minutes of heavy news. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Only real news story that I have.
I hate you so much.
Other notes.
What are your rules? Yeah, what are your rules and notes, you piece of shit?
Jakor Pearson mentioned that there was a misdiagnosis on the injury he had, so he's stepping away for a while.
Oh, like what are they saying it is now?
It didn't mention, just that there was a misdiagnosis and he's stepping away.
Huh.
And I don't think he played this week either, but I'm assuming that was a precaution.
Also, if you have any news that you want to send to us, or if you just want to get in touch with us, you can go over to the old Gmail, which is 4seasonsfootball, all one word, at gmail.com. That's spelled out phonetically, FOUR, seasonsfootball at gmail.com. All right, keep going.
Also, if you happen to have a reliable source on injury reports, love it. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention were rules updates and what I missed from last week. So what I missed for last week was the update to the pass interference penalties.
What was that?
So it's a 15-yard penalty or a spot foul if it's under 15 yards. So if it's a 50-yard bomb and they get the pass interference call, it's a 15-yard penalty, not a 50-yarder.
Oh, okay.
Challenges, I was under the impression that they could keep challenging for their super challenge so long as they still had timeouts, but that's not the case. It's one super challenge per team.
I think they can keep challenging regular stuff as long as they have timeouts, right? But they can only use the super challenge once, or is that wrong?
It's one challenge per game for anything.
Okay. I like that though. I like that they can do it without like waiting for like, you know, if they miss a call, because that's a mechanism that hasn't really been seen in the replay era in almost any sport, right? Like if it's not called, you can't review it.
What the NFL is so what I see as petty is like, no, you can't question our officials. No, there's only very specific things that you're allowed to look at and make us get the call right. Whereas if penalties are incorrectly called or not called on a crucial play, that should absolutely be reviewable.
Right. I mean, it's fucking insane. It's such a weird rule. It's I don't know. It's like, and that's the thing that I love the most is seeing it back on the command center. It was weird too, because the first couple games they weren't using the command center, but they used it a lot on Sunday. And it's like, where the fuck was that on Saturday? There was like one really controversial call and they didn't kick it to the command center. And I'm like, what are we doing, guys? What the fuck just happened?
Well, I think it was right off the bat or pretty early in the Stallions game. They were having issues with communication overall. I'm assuming that took.
So you think like maybe it was just a communication thing and they couldn't get it? Because the other thing was like, well, and then they had that one guy from the NFL who's like notorious for fucking shit up. And I'm like, uh-oh, he's here.
Bring on the problems.
Right, bring on the fucking problems, you know, like, and when I forget the guy's, it's like Podesa or whatever the fuck his name is, but he's like an NFL guy and he fucking, he's fucked up a bunch. And the moment that I heard his voice explaining shit rather than go like, so I heard him explaining shit. I'm like, oh, this fucking guy. And then fucking, then they're not going to the command center on top of that. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Take away our transparency. But yeah, even the argument for the NFL that like, no, if they can challenge this and that, it'll slow down the game. Like, come on. Every 5 minutes we go to commercial.
It doesn't slow down the game either. I'll say this, and I think everybody can fucking agree with this. I don't think hardcore fans give a fuck about slowing down the game. I will watch a game that is a half hour longer if they get all the fucking, if you can assure me that they're going to get all the fucking calls right, but it's going to take an extra half hour, I would do that. I would do that in a second.
Yep. Hell, they could stop the game for 30 minutes to truly dissect and discuss a play to make sure they get the call right. I'm going to leave and grab a beer and a snack, but I would still rather they do that than get the call wrong.
Right. I mean, it's fucking crazy. So, I mean, it just, like, again, it was just fucking weird to me, but it's fine. I mean, it's not, like, it's not what I would rather, but it's fine type shit, you know?
Yep. And yeah, I mean, I think for the challenges, I would rather they basically have unlimited so long as they've got a timeout. Just more opportunities to make sure the calls are right. But I'm fine with having that one super challenge anything you want once per game.
Sure.
And that means they're going to hold on to it for something important.
Yeah, I mean, and that's totally fine. All right, so that's all we need for rule. Oh, also the onside kick shit is only in the fourth quarter. I didn't know that. They changed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like an onside kick is like a normal onside kick. They said it a couple times where like during the fourth quarter, I think it's the fourth and the second, but during the fourth quarter is when you can do that fucking 12-yard for thing.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, chances are nobody's going to, well, I guess just close the door on anybody screwing around and going for the onside play in the first quarter after they score a touchdown.
Correct.
That's
yeah.
fun.
All right. So then we have, let's see, where's the notes? There we go. So yeah, there's that. And then let's do, we'll do some betting shit, I guess. Let's talk about that a little bit. Or do you want to let's do power rankings first, actually.
All right.
So I found a couple actual pretty decent stuff. I actually found a MVP power ranking thing that was pretty funny.
Oh, yes, for individual?
Yeah, because so like they have a power ranking for MVP, and right now that Matt Corral, quarterback of the Stallions, is the top like guy, which is funny because they say power rankings, but they only talk about him. Like,
maybe if it's an ongoing series, they select one guy per week. I don't know.
These were my noticeable standouts that I saw this week. Right, this is what I saw. Right. That Matt Corral on Birmingham was awesome. Like, he did a very good job. I thought their quarterback was good, right? That fucking
He was jumpy early, but he got there.
That Wes Hill in Michigan pad, that guy impressed me. I mean, that guy was fucking insane. And obviously Bates as kicker. I mean, Bates as kicker, that was the play of the week. That is the play of the, like, what's crazy is we saw a fake punt for a touchdown to a center, but that kick is still the play of the week, you know?
Yep.
But you have, I would go Corral and then Hill. Those were probably my top two. And then they have that, what is that? It's like Kirkland or whatever, John Trey. Brahma's wide receiver. That guy was awesome.
8 of 9 for 61 and a touchdown.
And then the tight end of the Battlehawks, Sutherland, fucking showed up. Like, everything. Like, I'm a big McCarron guy, and I would love to give him all credit for that shit, you know? But, like, honestly, with AJ, like, look at how many times he was outlet passing to that fucking tight end.
Well, and the stats aren't big, but he was 3 of 3 for 45 and a touchdown. He was clutch.
Right. And, like, what's crazy is 2 of those targets were in that final possession.
Yeah, including the extra point, I think.
Yes. I think he caught the extra point.
He did, which put the Battlehawks up 1, which means they lost by 2 when the kick was made rather than...
I don't know why you don't go for 3 in that. And that's something that we can get into, like, maybe like later on today or whenever we do. It's just like
2 minutes left. You kind of just want to get the lead.
I guess, but like, I mean, I guess you can't anticipate them making a 64-yard kick. I guess that's like, you know, like hindsight's like perfect type shit, you know, 2020, but like,
yeah,
who the fuck, like you kept them to the fucking, you kept them to the fucking 64-yard kick and they drenched it.
Well, like, okay, your touchdown ties the game. You absolutely need to take the lead there with the extra point. I totally understand taking the safest bet. I guess they could have had some foresight and thought about going for 3 just in case the field goal is made. It would only tie it, but yeah, I think you take the safe bet.
I guess. I mean, I understand it, but like, at some point, like, are we just gonna fucking safe bet everything, or are we trying to win this goddamn game? But we would. I mean, you should have won that game. Like, it's not. Again, you can't anticipate somebody fucking like making a 64. Like, again, it's easy to bitch about after the fact, but you can't. You can't bitch too much.
They put themselves in a great position to win that game, but that 64-yarder happened. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do power rankings, and then we'll go into the betting stuff because the betting lines and everything will be easier after we do power rankings. So what I'm going to do is, so what's interesting is the UFL releases their power rankings every week, okay?
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off their power rankings, and then I will tell you where I disagree or agree, right?
All right.
So Stallions at number 1, hard to argue. Like,
yep,
they were the premier team before. I'm going to need to see a little bit more out of them. But I just don't, like, I can't disagree with that, right? They have the Brahmas at number 2, which I think that's not the case. I don't believe the Brahmas are the second best team in the league. I don't.
No. They played a garbage team with no offensive line. They had a bunch of trick plays that worked for them. I'm not saying, like, their defense played well. They were able to move the ball for sure. But I'm not ready to put them at number 2 just yet.
Right. And then they have Showboats as number 3. I don't know that I agree with that either. I mean, I just need to see more out of them.
Right.
And then
playing
they have
against the Roughnecks.
Yeah, you know, and then Panthers at 4. That's fine. They might even be up a little bit more, maybe 3. But like to me, I think it would probably be like Stallions 1, maybe I think Battlehawks and Panthers are the next 2 best teams. And if you want to make the argument that the Panthers beat them so they get to be 2, fine. And I'm not trying to be a giant homer, but I do believe that if you play that game in a vacuum 10 times, the Battlehawks win that game 9 out of the 10 times.
My problem is I feel like I just don't have enough information.
Right, and of course, none of us do, because that's
one matchup so far.
Right.
So I think there's absolutely an argument for Stallions, Showboats, Panthers, Brahmas, or Brahmas, Panthers. Those 4 teams won.
Right. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I know, like, that's where I'm saying, like, I'm looking at my power rankings, and again, this is where it does me a disservice because, again, it's not the same teams that I'm used to because of the way they scrambled up their own drafts. And that's just something that I have to get used to. But like, to me, I don't like, I know a win's a win and all that shit, right? But when I look at the Panthers and I look at the Battlehawks, I don't think the Panthers are a better team. I don't. I think they won, and I'm okay with that, you know. But they also needed a fucking 64-yard fucking, like, they literally led a team who was basically like, because they were fucking tanking like towards the third, like the Battlehawks had that little sputter to them, and they, instead of like stepping on their neck and squashing it, what did they do? They went fucking 3 and out for like 3 possessions in a row.
And the Battlehawks that have that continuity on offense, AJ McCarron,
Right.
they were able to move the ball when they needed to.
Right.
They were able to make a bunch of clutch plays.
Yes.
Yeah, I personally think would put the Battlehawks above the Panthers.
And that's what I'm saying. I understand the 1-0 as the power ranking, and that you can clearly tell that's where these power rankings are. So I'll just read them over real quick with the UFL. So the UFL has Stallions 1, Brahmas 2, Showboats 3, Panthers 4, Battlehawks 5, Defenders 6, Arlington 7, Roughnecks 8. Okay, so I agree with Roughnecks. I think the Houston Roughnecks are the worst team in the league, and I think they have a long road to hoe. I really do. Like,
yeah, the defense looked honest. Well, at least the front 7 of the defense looked pretty good, but
their secondary looked like it sucked, and
terrible.
their offense looked like ass. The Brahmas to me look like they just got up to some trickery that I just don't know that it will work against anybody else. We'll see. You know, I mean, it is Wade Phillips. Good for him, right? So if I were going to give my power rankings personally, I would have the Birmingham Stallions 1, because here's the thing with the Birmingham Stallions, right? Their entire franchise, all they've done is win, right? They came in, and not only did they beat Arlington, who I don't believe is a good team, but they beat them convincingly. And that's the team that's supposed to be the premier of this one league, whereas the premier teams of the XFL with the Battlehawks and the fucking DC doesn't even look like the same team, and the Battlehawks look like they're at half strength. You know, and if this Stallion team, can do that, because if they can push around Arlington, because you watch Arlington like the next couple of weeks, like I don't think they're going to win a lot, but I bet the games will be way closer, right? So
yeah, I mean, time will tell.
So I think for me, I have Stallions 1, I have Battlehawks 2, I have Panthers 3, I have Showboats 4, I have Brahmas 5, and then I have the Arlington Renegades at 6, I have the Defenders at 7, and the Roughnecks at 8. That's my power ranking.
And I think I put Defenders over Renegades. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the Renegades just from what I saw, but I mean, they were playing.
Right, and that's the thing. I'm giving the Renegades the benefit of the doubt for 1 week because they were playing the Stallions. You know what I mean? Like kind of how like I'm giving, like, because I'll tell you this: if the Panthers go out and they win again convincingly, I don't even know who. I got to look at who they're playing. I don't even know where's my lines. I have them right here.
Stallions.
Oh, they are playing the Stallions. Okay, so here's the thing:
if that game, it'll change things right quick.
Right quick, and that's kind of nice. You know, that's actually what I really like about this, is because like these are going to fucking like tell you right away what the fuck they are almost immediately.
Yep.
You know, like all the questions. That's what's so cool about this week too. Like this week too, like as fun, because how awesome was like week 1 was fun, right? You enjoyed it, right? It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's all up in the air. It was all assumptions, and luckily, once we see another week, we'll have a little more apples to apples comparisons.
Right. And what's so cool is all the question marks that I have, they're going to be, a lot of them are going to be addressed, you know, like, cause here's the thing. If the Panthers win if the Panthers beat the Stallions, maybe they're one, you know what I mean? Like, who the fuck knows?
Yep. It will totally shuffle things.
And I think, like, you know, we can go into like, so is that your power ranking, or what would your power ranking be? Did you already say it? Was I fucking dumb?
I've got Stallions, Showboats, Battlehawks, Panthers, Brahmas, Defenders, Renegades, Roughnecks. Because I think the only real shuffle is
you have Memphis a little higher than I do, which is fine.
Yep. And then the Defenders, because they were able to move the ball, but they settled for field goals all game long, and it was still a really tight game. I think that was early season getting out the jitters.
Yeah.
I think they'll be better moving forward.
Okay. That's all right. So that's our power rankings. I think it's interesting because like both of us agree that the Battlehawks should be way higher. And again, I understand they lost, like, because on the power rankings on the web, and this is what I fucking hate about power rankings, that nobody talks about this enough in sportscasting, right? Every power ranking is never the power ranking, it's the standings. If you want the standings, go fucking pick up a newspaper. Go buy a newspaper, log into fucking ESPN. They have standings for days, bro. Like, to put the top four, just because 4 teams are 1-0 does not mean they're the most powerful. Like, I mean, you're telling me that, like, just because you're telling me that from a standpoint of like just victories mean everything? They just don't. I mean, that's what you're doing to win the game, but that's not power. You can have very powerful teams that underperform. Like, like in the NFL, I think the Niners were the best team all throughout the year. Does that mean they were the best team? No, clearly not. But they were the most powerful team the entire stretch of the whole season for me. And then they got Kansas City, Kansas City has very glaring holes in fucking wide receiver. Their secondary is getting better, but young, but didn't matter. They won, right? Does that mean that they would be on the top of the power rank? No, they were on the fucking 4th or 5th power. I mean, Buffalo Bills were on the top of people's power rankings for a while on some of these. This isn't the standings. It's the power rankings, you know?
Well, that's one of the great things about football and why we watch is any given Sunday, crazy things can happen. Crazy plays happen all the time. That's why it's fun to watch.
That's why they play the game.
The better team can absolutely lose, and they do.
Well, and that's why it'll be real interesting to watch this week because I just don't believe that the Panthers are better than the Battle. I know they beat us. I know that. I get that. I don't believe paw is the law, bro. Caw is the law, and Panther fans shit standing up. I will hear no more of this. All right.
Cheers. We could develop a really involved ELO system and point system for all the teams and do power ranks by that.
I mean, I'm not
going to do that.
I was going to say, I'm not going to do that. If you want to do that, if you want to do that for the podcast, I will definitely hear that out, but I'm not doing it. I'll tell you this. All the prep work I did by viewership and attendance, that's going to be about what I do for the whole podcast, bro. We wasted it early. I peaked really early.
Oh, blew my load.
Yeah, dude. I'm in a 7-month refractory period now. Sorry. All right.
See you next February.
All right. So let's go into the betting part of it. First off, let's talk about what was your experience with the DraftKings and the fantasy football stuff that you did last week?
Overall, it was good. Unfortunately, that alt sports site basically didn't update to a second week, so I'm just gonna forget about it. But DraftKings.
So if you want to play with us, you're gonna have to go to DraftKings.
Yeah, pretty much. But
DraftKings. I had this moment this week. I didn't actually tell you this. I'll tell you this right now. You're gonna laugh your eyes off. So I actually made my whole roster on DraftKings, right? Yeah. And then I thought I submitted it, but I guess I didn't. And when I logged back in, it just had done the timeout thing. So I'd been drinking at a show when I was doing it. So I probably just fucking thought it was done and fucking disconnect or some shit. But when I opened it up, I hadn't registered. So I'm like, oh shit. But I was able to get my fucking picks in, which was nice.
Nice. I've played fantasy football with you. I know how that goes.
Shut the fuck up.
But yeah, overall, my week went poorly because I trusted in tight ends. I had Sternberger and Latimer on multiple rosters, and they did nothing. So after a promising Saturday, fell to nowhere and ended up 2,215 out of 5,000. Not great. For this week, though, there's a couple of guys, as I was looking at it, that had really great weeks and honestly should have great weeks moving forward, just based on
matchups and shit. Yeah, 100%.
Those two that I absolutely recommend getting in your rosters are Dawood Davis, wide receiver for the Showboats. He's cheap at 6,600. He was 7 of 10 for 43 yards plus 15 yards rushing.
Damn.
For almost 13 points.
How much is Hill going for? Because Birmingham, they weren't doing the best against the run. It seemed like the running back that with Arlington wasn't that good, but they were there was holes that I think Hill is just gonna fucking chew up.
Hills isn't the most expensive. He's at 8,400. Okay. Whereas Marable for Birmingham is at 8,900. But I mean, he's a top option.
What's McCarron going for?
10,500. Most expensive guy in the league.
I mean, against Renegades, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Stallions were able to put up.
I mean, Chase Garbers for the Brahmas might be the pick, though. That's cool. I like that one.
And then the other guy who I think is underpriced is Marcel Aitman, who was obviously one of AJ McCarron's top options.
Sure.
He caught 6 of 7 for 60 yards and a touchdown for 18 points. He's only 6,500. He's even cheaper than Dawood.
Yeah, I think the other one with Arlington too that I would suggest. I don't know what he's going for, but Deontay Burnett, which is their wide receiver. That was the only guy that had any kind of action while they got their ass kicks. That was the only the plays that they were actually able to move the ball. It was always to him.
Did he catch the long deep ball?
Yes.
Kind of the only real.
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, he's at 7,600, 5th or 6th.
But he is going against the Battlehawks, so that's going to be a tough ask. But yeah.
And then for the defense, I know they didn't play great, but I kind of like the Defenders against the Roughnecks because the Roughnecks offensive line is nothing.
Roughnecks is I'm telling you, the Roughnecks are the worst team in the league, I think.
They are, but I kind of see them getting a bunch of sacks in this game against paper.
Okay. I'm not worried about it. That's cool.
That's the other budget pick. They're only 4,200.
Ooh, that's actually kind of nice. All right, so let's go to line betting. Anything else on the fantasy that you would recommend, or?
Nope. Although, well, I guess it's more the betting that Defenders Roughnecks game. I can't decide whether it's absolutely the under that you should bet because both defenses were actually kind of decent, or if there's going to be so many defensive scores that they blow out the over.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so we can go. So that's it for fantasy. We'll go into the betting lines.
Yep.
So you're talking about the Roughnecks game?
Yeah.
I think like
Roughnecks
the under is at negative 125. So I mean, like you almost got to. Like here's how you know that it's going to happen that way though. Is the over is at 105 and the under is at 125.
Well, I'm talking the over under for total points.
Yeah, the total points is 41.5. That's the point like thing that I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I kind of think both offenses are terrible, both defenses are decent.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the under is 125 negative and the over is 105 negative. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just anticipate a whole lot of nothing. I mean, the Roughnecks are going to be the worst team. I think that the Defenders coming off a loss are going to be dangerous because while I don't believe, like, I don't see the Roughnecks getting better like you do, right? But I also see the Defenders getting better. Like, I don't think the Defenders are what we saw last week. I think the Roughnecks are.
Yeah,
and
I think the Defenders get way better than the Roughnecks do, for sure.
Right, and at -5, I'm going Roughnecks all day long.
Defenders.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm staying away from the Roughnecks all day long is what I meant to say. Yes. Defenders.
Yep. I'm taking Defenders -5.
Yep. And then we're both 2-2, right? Like that's because we both swung and missed. It's funny, the Battlehawks almost won, but I still would have lost that. So I didn't. It's so funny as an adult how little you care about your team winning or losing when you have money on it. Like I care more about the fucking covering than I care about the win.
The only difference is when that's why you bet against your team so that if they win, you're happy.
Yep.
If they lose, you're happy.
All right, so let's do. Okay, so we both got the Defenders with -5.
Yep.
Okay, and then we got Birmingham Stallions 6.5 negative. So Birmingham's giving away 6.5. I always get scary about these 6.5, and I'm gonna say I don't know this, but I'm going to do this just because I don't think the separation of talent between the Panthers and the Stallions is anywhere near what the Arlington Renegades is. So I'm actually going to go with the Panthers on this one, but I do expect the Stallions to win that game. I just don't think they're going to do it by 6.5.
All right. I'm going to take the Stallions -6.5. I mean, they stomped on the road in Arlington last week. They're playing on the road again at the Panthers.
You know what? Hold on. I'm going to give me 1 sec. Actually, I'm going to write these down real quick. Cause I was like, oh, I'll just go back and listen to it, but I don't have to if I can just fucking do it. Okay. Neat. So you're picking Defenders and Birmingham?
Yep.
And I've got Defenders and Panthers. All right. So then we've got you think the Stallions are going to win by more than a touchdown?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a lot more, but I think they win by a touchdown.
I just don't know if the Stallions are going to be able to stop the Panthers, right? Like I am really high on fucking Hills. That guy like really impressed me. I mean, he looked like a professional NFL running back.
Yeah, I think.
But you know what I like the most?
The Panthers are going to be able to stop the Stallions from scoring, and if the Stallions get a lead, then the running game is.
Yeah, unless they leave them open for a 70-yard kick at the end of the game. All right, and then we have Arlington Battlehawks. Battlehawks are -5. I'm going Battlehawks all day, and I like people accuse me of being a homer, but I think Arlington is the second worst team in the third worst team in the league. I mean, we'll see, but the Battlehawks they're opening up. They're at home. They're coming off a game that they should have fucking won, And the offense was starting to click at the end. Like, you can tell everything's rusty and weird week 1, but like at the end of the game, they were getting it. And that's usually when I'm looking at like any kind of like spread betting, the week 1 is like a complete coin flip. You know, I mean, shit, you've been in spread. I'm very good at spread betting in the NFL. Like, but the first week is just, it's coin flip palooza, you know? But what I saw from
real information to go on.
Correct, because it's their first game. But what I saw from the Battlehawks last week was they started to get it together towards the end, and I look for them to come out and look like that Battlehawks team the entire game.
Right. AJ McCarron was able to make the throws when he needed to. It came a lot of the time on 3rd and long and 4th and long.
And how many drop balls did he have? How many times did he paint guys and they dropped it? You know what I mean? Like AJ was not the reason we lost.
No, and
him flipping out on the sidelines was one of my favorite things ever. When he kept screaming, "Give me the ball!" I'm like, "Yes, give him the ball."
When they tried to run it after having 0 running success.
Yeah, dude, can we talk about maybe firing the coaching staff? Holy fuck, that was bad. All right,
I understand trying to not give up the running game and keep the defense guessing, but at some point, just give it up.
Yeah, it's fine. Just give it up. It's okay. All right, who do you got?
I'm taking Battlehawks -5.
Attaboy. Cause the law, baby.
Cause the law.
Caca. Okay.
Especially in St. Louis.
Right, and that's the other thing too. Not only are they going against the Renegades, who like, yeah, the Renegades are going to be like, they're hungry and they got embarrassed, but there's like, and it's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be packed. It's going to be like, I'm excited for you to watch a game of the Battlehawks at home. It is like, it will look as close to a professional football game as we're going to see in the UFL, unless Birmingham probably is the same way, honestly. Probably is.
That'll be interesting to see. Yeah, the other one is the Defenders at home with the beer snake.
Yeah, we're going to, and that's another thing. We better see the return of the beer snake. Actually,
absolutely are.
Did I take the Defenders? Yeah, all right. I'm taking the Defenders just because of the beer snake. Let it be known.
The fear of lemons.
Fear the beer. Dude, I love how they gave him back the beer snake but outlawed lemons. That's my favorite. All right, and then we have what? Oh, San Antonio Brahmas versus Memphis Showboats. This is actually the hardest one for me this week. Because I don't know if the Brahmas are good or if they just did trickery. And the Showboats, like I don't really know what the Showboats are. It's interesting. Like I'm not convinced they're bad, but I'm also not convinced they're good.
Both teams are the reasons that my power rankings is a full question mark. I don't know for sure whether what I saw was because those teams are good or because their opponents were bad.
Right. And I'm personally going to go Showboats, and it's strictly they're getting Brahmas have 2.5, and we all know 3 points is home field advantage.
Yep.
So I'm just doing the safe thing that works in the NFL. I don't know if it works in the UFL, but when you're doing, here's a pro tip, when you're doing NFL spread picks, 3 points is home field. So given that the line is fucking San Antonio minus 2.5, I'm going the Showboats at home because I have no idea about any of these teams.
Yep. And I mean, as you can see based on my power rankings, I think the Showboats are a better team overall. I think the Brahmas were a little bit more fluke and good coaching because they managed to pull off a lot on offense right out of the gates. But I think the Showboats are for real. I think they take that +2.5.
Okay, so we're picking the same except for Birmingham Panthers.
Yep.
And we both think that the Birmingham Stallions will win that game. I don't think they're going to lose that game. I just think it's going to be closer than people think.
Right. And the possibility of the Panthers being able to run the ball, burn a bunch of clock, and keep it close is absolutely a possibility. So, I mean, Stallions winning by 3 is. I
just really hate the Panthers. Like, I hate that they're called the Panthers. Like, how fucking unoriginal are. And can we talk about how ugly those fucking jerseys are? Why do you need that fucking baby blue for no reason at all? Because you're playing in Ford Field? Fucking name your team something else. There's already a football team called the Panthers. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And Panthers are native to the South, not Michigan.
Yeah, there's not even Panthers in Michigan. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Maroon and baby blue is awful.
And fucking like what? A gold rust color? It's not even maroon, and like it's like fucking like maroon and baby blue would be better than because it's just a dab of baby blue for no reason at all. It's not even in their primary color scheme. I actually low key think that they have the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life. And it was funny because when I saw them on the field, I was like, those aren't as ugly as I thought they were. And then they turned and I saw that little dab of baby blue, and I'm like, oh yeah, they fucking are.
I think you could look through every single high school football team's uniforms throughout the country and struggle to find one uglier than that.
Yeah, God, I'm not going to take that bet. No, absolutely not. And it's saying something too, because like I actually have always hated the Stallions logo. It just looks super unoriginal to me. It's like, oh look, it's the Broncos with the 49er color scheme, but it doesn't even touch how bad the Carolina ones are. Or the Carolina. See, I did it. Carolina Panther. No, the fucking Michigan Panthers. See, I'm fucking doing it. Fuck you. Change your fucking name. Pisses me off.
Yep. Somebody came out with a design and their boss was like, no, I've seen that a million times. Come back with something original. Okay, here's maroon and baby blue. Great work.
Yeah, just what a great time. What a great time to be alive. Fucking dick bags, you know?
Originality at the cost of everything else.
Right, but it's not even original. It's just stupid. Like, it's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And like you said, it's not even like Panthers are even there. They're not. They don't even exist there.
Nope. Just bad ideas all around.
All right. Well, that's about the time we look at that. We finished our fucking bullet points right on point. Do we is there anything we missed? Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
Nope. For the UFL, I think we wrapped it.
Okay, so then, yeah, and then we got to talk about just so here's the thing we're going to do going forward, because it is 4 seasons football. We are going to talk a little bit NFL. I'm sorry, guys. Not very little, though. Big news, just that fucking Diggs is over on the Texans now. That was a big deal when that happened, because there's 2 reasons why that's a big deal. Is one, that fucking Texan team is looking scary now out of nowhere. CJ Stroud is the truth, and now they're building around. I mean, like, they're going to make a legit run this year. And D'Amico Ryan, as the guy who used to be the defensive coordinator for the Niners, that guy is real good.
Well, and for the Texans, the offense was phenomenal last year.
Yes.
And they just added Diggs as a weapon.
Right, and they got fucking Danielle Hunter on the other side now, too, right?
Oh, and they added a running back, too.
Yes.
Mixon, yeah.
Yeah, Joe Mixon, and they got Danielle Hunter on the other side. I mean, this team, like, they beefed up huge. And also, the bigger news to me, I think we all knew that the Texans were on the swing up, you know? Like, CJ Stroud was the truth and all that. But the big news is that this is probably closing the door on that window of Buffalo. And Buffalo now goes down in history as one of the most just not reaching their potential teams in history. And it's funny because they've already done, this is something they've done before.
Yeah. Stacked for 3 years. Got close, but just fell short. And the deal is terrible for the Bills.
Terrible.
So they traded a let's say top 10 wide receiver in the league for a second rounder next year and a second and a fifth and a sixth this year. No, a sixth this year, a fifth next year, along with the second. Like, it's nothing. On top of that, they're going to pay $31 million over the next 2 years in dead money.
Dead ass money.
Just a punt from the Bills because he was disgruntled and did what he did in Minnesota, but didn't get the return for it.
Just trash. You know, like, and I already didn't like Josh Allen. I didn't like that team. I didn't like a lot of stuff about that, but it's just like, it's so sad to watch it go nothing. Because I was a guy last year, and you and I didn't really talk a lot about like my hatred for the Bills, but I just like, I would get so mad at, like, because everybody was like crowning them and like, bitch, they aren't even the third best team in the AFC. You know, like once Burrows went down, they were, but like I thought the Ravens and Kansas City were better than the entire way.
Yeah, I still like.
Josh Allen is trash. Josh Allen is trash, and he will throw away the game whenever he can. He's one of those guys that when shit matters, he's gonna fuck up. That's just who he is.
He's a Favre.
Yeah, no, he's like Favre without the ring.
Yeah. The other little tidbit with the story that I thought was interesting is the rest of his contract is void. So he's playing this year for the Texans, and then he's a free agent. So he's got crazy incentives to play his ass off.
Yeah, well, plus he's getting dead money for the next 2 years. So like if he plays crazy this year, next year he'll get a new contract and that other year of dead money. So he's getting double pay. It's kind of like Russell Wilson this year. He's playing for league minimum, but not really because Denver has to pay him, you know?
Yeah.
And then this is, so, you know, the other thing is our Vikings here, you know? Wait, where's my little fucking sound? Hold on, we got this. Our Vikings, they are fucking crazy. O'Connell keeps talking about how much he likes coaching Darnold. And I gotta say, I like, tell me I'm fucking crazy, and I know this is nuts. I kind of want us to get up to the 3 spot and get Harrison Jr. and just keep Darnold. If our coach likes coaching this guy, and clearly he had some bum move because he wasn't bad on the Niners, he just didn't play. And I'll never hold anybody accountable for how they play on the Jets. I just can't do it. Like if we could get Harrison opposite Addison, Jefferson, and then Hawkinson on the underneath, like, I don't know, man. And then we can still do whatever the fuck we want next year. I just think I'm gun shy about us drafting quarterbacks. I've seen too many times it go wrong.
Yes, I'm totally nervous about the quarterback they end up with, but and I also like the idea of Marvin Harrison being on the team, but I don't think it's the way to go. Trying to play Darnold with a ton of great receivers. I mean, it should be easy for someone to be open. The other thing is next year's quarterback class apparently looks like crap. But
okay. All right. Well, that's different. That's different then, for sure.
At the same time, I do not want to trade up to 3 and get JJ McCarthy.
No, I want May or like McCarthy's fine, I guess. I don't know. Like
not at the 3. I'd take him at the 8, 9, 10, or 11.
Well, that's not where we're going. We're going 4, 5, or 3. Those are the only places we're going up.
Right. If we're taking McCarthy, it's probably at 5. And I think
where do we sit naturally right now? 7?
11.
11, right. But we have that extra pick from the Texans.
23.
That we're going to use to trade up.
Yeah. Which is those 2 picks are an even trade on the whatever evaluator.
Yeah. Well, and I also think Caleb Williams has all the like earmarks of being just a Ryan Leaf bust. I really do.
I would love it. Fuck the Bears, but I'd rather take him than the other quarterbacks in the draft.
As long as we don't get Penix, I'm fine. Penix is the only one I want to steer clear of.
Well, if you take him in the 2nd, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that, but I don't want to trade up for him. And like, I don't know, anytime somebody's injury prone in college, I'm out.
I would honestly kind of be fine with just sticking where we're at 11-23, taking best player available, and then pick up Bo Nix or Penix in the 2nd. Screw it.
Fuck him, dude. All right, well there you go. You got a little bit of fucking NFL sprinkled in there too, you yutzes. Pretty fun, right? Anything else you want to talk about with the NFL?
Nope, I think that's it for another 3 weeks.
Yeah. What are you excited? Like, okay, so you watched the XFL or UFL this last week and like just sat around watching it. Like, are you excited to just sit, like, now that we got you kind of vested in it again, aren't you kind of excited to just sit around and watch football again? Like now that you're in, like you got skin in the game and we're doing like, it's like football's not even gone. You know what I mean? Like you just get it.
Yeah. I mean, the only downside is I'm trying to pay attention, so I'm not drinking beer while I'm watching.
I mean, you're just not doing it right then. I don't know what to tell you about that.
I'll start halftime second game Saturday and Sunday.
What did you fucking say before the show? Like, just out of nowhere, I'm like, fucking, so here's a little inside shit. I'm getting everything set up to stream and record. And I just hear Nate mutter out of nowhere, like, yeah, how do you like that, stomach? Coffee to beer. That's a harsh transition.
Right. So I wake up from my nap, drink a cup of coffee, immediately jump into a beer to warm myself up for the podcast. Fuck you, stomach. You'll take what I give you.
Fuck you, stomach. You'll take what I give you. You know what? That's a perfect place to end it. I wish I didn't have the fucking thing. Oh, so USFL, XFL. Who knows? I think we'll know better this weekend if the USFL is better than the XFL. You know, right now, I think jury's still out. I mean, like, again, I think Birmingham we knew. I think like the Showboats and the Roughnecks, like they're both fucking. Who cares? Like, I don't know. We'll see. This is I'm so fucking happy. One, I'm really enjoying this. Thank you guys for listening. Honestly, there's actually a lot of people on Reddit who've been very nice. You can go over to UFL Meme Wars. That's the plural version. That's where we post the thing. We got memes and all that shit. And if you want to follow us over on Twitter, it's Fours Football. That's spelled out FOURS Football. That's on Twitter. You can also email us, which is I think that's just Four Seasons. I should probably bring it up before I start doing the fucking promo reads.
Football@gmail.com.
Thank you. Jesus Christ. Who's fucking driving this thing? Again, spelled out phonetically. If you want to find the podcast, other than obviously you can find it here, wherever. It's so weird to me doing this where you're like, oh, if you want to find the podcast, you're already listening to it. You fucking found us somewhere, so whatever, right? But we're everywhere.
If you're randomly clicking and
if you just randomly click, like if we're just a fucking promo that like if you fell asleep on YouTube and you found this, check it out. You can find backed episodes over at fourseasonsfootball.life or wherever you get podcasts from. We're on Spotify. We'll be on iHeartRadio. We'll be on Apple eventually, but those guys take forever to fucking click. And then we're on a bunch of fucking services that I've never heard of, but Lipson's like, you want to go here? I'm like, fuck yes, we do. Let's roll. So you guys have been awesome. I've been Corey. He's been Nate. I guess fuck you, stomach. You'll give what he takes you or whatever, right?
Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great week 2 of UFL football.
See you next week.